Guys, welcome to another Be the Collector video. Oh my goodness, I didn't even realize I forgot to put on my gloves. But anyways, today we're watching a video made by Casual Geographic. Now I absolutely love to watch this guy's videos. I've learned so much about animals and whatnot. And I haven't actually seen this video yet. It's titled Why Can't You Have a Baby Elephant for Christmas? But if you want to learn about animals, I'd watch him. But if you know some good videos from him, I'll react to them. And when I'm done putting on my gloves, also happy Valentine's Day, even though for me it's like 2:11 a.m. and it's 2:15, but I still count it as Valentine's Day until the sun comes up, you know? But let's get to the video.
Hey you guys, just wanted to come on here and talk to y'all, because I know there's a lot of accusations, a lot of misconceptions regarding where I've been, why I haven't posted in a while, my coming back, and I'm not really good at making these kind of videos, but I think it's time I address the elephant in the room. Ever since I was a baby, elephants were the animals that were my favorite, and this summer I became the favorite animal to an elephant's baby, and I learned that baby elephants are the most dangerous, reckless, logically bankrupt, whatever this is, threats to human welfare, and the cutest thing I've ever run away from. This is the face of a war criminal. So in case you were considering adopting this cankled crash out into your life, I traveled halfway around the world to beef with a baby elephant, so you don't have to. This is baby June. She's a 9-month-old wrecking ball on 4 legs with no regard for human rights. You see, June be wanting to play, and you got to tell her no, but she don't listen. And that's the problem. Baby elephants are too playful for well, actually it is for their good. You'll notice that a lot of the smartest animals are also the most playful, and playing actually consolidates the skills you'll need later in life. It's actually been proven that the elephants that play the most as kids end up more well-adjusted and adaptable as adults. It's why you'll see these videos.
I haven't really done a video like this when I'm reacting to him saying things about animals, or just anyone saying things about animals. So, in truth, I don't know what commentary to put. I'll put it at, like, random places that I think make sense. But, yeah. Just so you know.
Videos of elephants chasing around birds, chasing around dogs, and just wrestling each other. Problem: it's one thing for an elephant to roughhouse another elephant. Getting hawked down by a 900-pound toddler that doesn't know their own strength is a different heart attack. And do not tell me June didn't know what she was doing, because she kept trying to act cute in my face, only to bum rush me from behind. Oh, and they're a car-sized Saint Bernard. You run, they see that as a license to chase.
Here you go again, June, stop it.
Speaking of which, the other reason baby elephants are bad for your health. When baby elephants get excited, they make a lot of sounds. They're actually pretty noisy animals in general. Problem is, elephants are also some of the most overprotective mothers on earth, and hearing their baby make any noise sends them running. They literally warn you not to rile up June, because she might think she's playing, whole time she just accidentally called a hit out on you. Keep in mind, elephants are pregnant for 2 months short of 2 years. That's a nearly 2-year internal investment, and you're grass if she thinks you're threatening it. To be fair, if you heard your child yell from across the house just to find a random man posted up next to your spawn, no amount of backpedaling will keep him in present tense. Doesn't change the fact that June raised my health insurance with a different kind of charge. Yeah, baby elephants can be remarkably bad for your health. To be fair, we're kind of a disaster for theirs. We took the biggest animal on land and made their land the smallest it's ever been, and believe me, as hard as you think uprooting a family of several thousand-pound plus-size lawnmowers is, it is harder. In fact, I challenge you, play this game. 10 minutes, you'll wonder how the elephants made it work, because this game gives you a small tip, themed 100 different problem we get place to leave.
I am not
Like,
sponsored by these
and you can
people,
play the
so
role
I'm
of
skip 'em.
collector, invader, or developer. Each has their own buffs and nerfs. Attack your invaders.
Yet again, I'm not sponsored. We're not listening to this. Because I don't feel like...
So to start with over 10 million.
Because I don't feel like getting copyrighted or sued or whatever. Can't happen.
No rage. Almost the opposite, because the other dangerous thing about being around a baby elephant, well, you know how humans are the smartest things alive, allegedly, but our babies have the self-preservation of a kumquat. Well, you know how humans are the smartest things alive, allegedly.
I thought that had said something.
But our babies have the self-preservation of a kumquat because the learning curve is so high. There's so much elephants have to learn about elephanting that they start off kinda I want to say unaware, which would explain why June didn't get that my pelvis physically couldn't handle a lapdog in the weight class of a cow. So yeah, you can actually get loved to death by an elephant that doesn't know any better. We're talking about a baby animal that sometimes steps on its own trunk. It can take 1 full year to figure out how to use it. Or you know, 9 months in motivation. Yeah, June ate my poncho. Like right off my chest. Now wearing green around animals that eat grass for a living, that was a decision. But that trunk's another reason a prepubescent pachyderm can be really bad for your house, cause understand, nothing's out of reach. Also, there's power in that trunk. Her name June, but she easily could have had me feeling the Mayweather in September if she swung. And if you think she couldn't move you like a gust of wind, you lying. And I know I kind of implied they're dumb, but like, only in the ways that are inconvenient. They know to mess with tourists for a response, and they don't forget who gave them the best one. So June targeting me, that wasn't an accident. So yeah, baby elephants are much more of a life hazard than you ever could have imagined. Question is, why did I do that to myself? Well, if this video gets, I'm gonna say 150k likes, I'll go to an elephant sanctuary somewhere and record it. 150k likes, 150k likes, 150.
500 people a year, and it's mostly Asian elephants that.
Yeah, I'm a man of my word, so I knew I was gonna have to see some elephants. What I didn't know was just how hard it'd be to find the right place, and to explain why, we gotta go back. The relationship between Asian elephants and people is wildly toxic, and it starts with people destroying their habitats and taking over their ancestral avenues. But you remember what I said about that learning curve? Yeah, they wasn't going for that. As arguably the smartest thing alive that's not us, the elephants just adapted, and then you had families of elephants raiding crop fields at night or even breaking into houses to steal rice. And that's all it takes. Cause on one side, you got farmers trying to defend their livelihood from a 4-ton marauding raccoon, and on the other side, elephants are just trying to live a life that people have made that much harder. It's a vicious cycle, with elephants often getting injured or even killed by farmers protecting their stock, while hundreds of people get flatlined by those same elephants each year. And you already know, if an elephant murks a person, it's likely getting put on a shirt in retaliation. But it's also proven that kind of activity causes genuine PTSD in the survivors, making them that much more trigger happy. An unpopular opinion, I never liked how y'all made fun of this woman. Like, yeah, she could have done the elephant dirty and gotten got. That elephant also could have been a hurricane on 4 legs that was finna life retire the first person she ran into, and Maya Muramu got cheated out the game of life. Now add elephants getting exploited for things like logging companies, and you realize that somewhere an elephant with internet made this and wanted problems. Logging was especially nasty since the Ellies would be separated from their families, abused, and usually disabled by the end, since a lot of times they'd get injured but would be forced to work through it. Logging was made illegal in Thailand, but now there was a problem. Suddenly a bunch of elephants were out of work, and unemployment don't really work when you put away shacks weight and food a day. Now the only reason I brought all of that up is because it directly led to the problem I had. Stay with me now. So with so many elephants with nowhere to go, a bunch of sanctuaries.
I don't know if I said it or not already. This guy's channel is known as Casual Geographic. He tells you a lot about animals. I think I said that. Go check him out. I love his videos. I watch them after school. So.
Where he started opening their doors, and it seemed like the perfect compromise. The Ellies are taken care of and get to retire, and people.
Viewer discretion is very much advised for the dolphin ones.
Get to see these absolute units up close, except a lot of times it's the worst kind of trap. A lot of these sanctuaries are just the same problem with different gift wraps. Stay with me. You know how it became common knowledge that elephant riding is a great time for anyone not an elephant? It's cruel, it's hell on their back, and the way they trained them to do it, we'll get to that. But basically, elephant riding became a massive red flag for a reason we'll also get into, and most sanctuaries trashed it. But there's also many that offer elephant washing, and that might not seem as bad. So again, I'ma really need y'all to stay with me. Wild elephants aren't strangers to water, but they don't spend all day in there, and they kind of just go as they choose. Problem is, when you sell tourists the promise of washing an elephant and they pay for it, an elephant that doesn't feel like it is bad for business. So these trunk merchants end up not having a choice, and sometimes they'll even hide bull hooks in the water to goad the elephants where they want them. By the way, that's a bull hook, and they've actually been banned in zoos. They were so cruel. And that's a problem, because if you don't know any better, you might think you're having a wholesome moment. Whole time they're suffering and you're funding it. You know, I'll go even further. Those places where you can get a painting from an elephant, same thing. The elephant's just doing the same thing that it was slavishly taught to do since birth, often also at the threat of a bull hook. And it's not just elephants. You might remember that era of people taking pictures with tigers and putting them on Tinder. Hopefully that's the closest they ever got to pull. Often the tigers are declawed, defanged, and higher than Shaggy, they're drugged beyond belief. Basically, if you have a whole wild animal, one with a known human body count, just sitting there like a trained dog, yeah, you know something ain't right. And these traps are literally everywhere, and they're really easy to fall for. I remember how much I wanted to see one of those otter cafes in Japan, until I found out how utterly egregious that would be. So now you see my problem. If I don't go to a sanctuary, then I'm the guy that lied to millions of people. If I do go but promote the wrong one, at that point I might as well just nuke my channel. But then I thought, I shouldn't worry about going to a good elephant sanctuary. I should go to the elephant sanctuary. And on that note, introducing... This is Lek Chyler. Her name means tiny, she's about 4'10", and she's the biggest f***ing G you'll ever meet. She's an animal lover with an elephant-sized soft spot in her heart. It's low-key medically alarming, but she seems fine. And when she was young, she witnessed the horror of the elephant logging and riding business. I know I said we get back to the training stuff, so... yeah, cause out of all the things I've talked about, this might unironically...
YouTube, here's the trigger warning right here. Move my face cam. There you go. You see it, trigger warning. Right here.
Be the most disturbing. You ever wonder how a highly intelligent animal known to get people PTSD takes so much grief from something 40 times lighter? Unfortunately, it's called the crush, and it involves isolating a baby elephant, tying it to a box, and beating it. For 24 hours, bull hooks, nails, chains, all of it. Why? Well, you remember how I said the mothers are overprotective? Well, elephants are also the biggest mama's boys in nature, and this brutal brainwashing means their love for their mother now gets overshadowed by their new fear of man. And if it doesn't work in the first 24, then they just go back for another 24 hours. And then another, until eventually the baby's too traumatized to even look at its mother. It's called the crush, because they literally crush their spirit. You look them in the eyes, there's nothing left. I'm not showing videos because 1, YouTube seems to hate talking about animal abuse more than they hate the abuse itself, and 2, I don't know if you've ever heard an elephant scream for its mother, but mama, sorry for my language, that will fuck you up. That's the part of riding an elephant you don't see, and I'ma just say, I rode an elephant as a kid. That memory will forever be tainted. Yeah, Lex saw that, and that was her villain origin story, or at least part of it, because she obviously tried to spread the word, but not only was elephant trekking a huge business in Thailand, it was a business her own family was in. So that villain story just went Joker. But didn't I tell you Tiny is a G? She wasn't going for it, and she kept applying pressure, and while she did make noise, she'd be doubly disowned by the government and her own family. Well, not all of them, because the elephants would be her family, and in 1995, Lek Chyler would found the Elephant Nature Park near Chiang Mai, Thailand, which has since rescued over 200 elephants, where not a single bull hook's used, and a trunk Tyler has no reason to fear people, which gave me every reason to fear June. That girl legitimately terrorized me, and the worst part is I'll let her do it again, no questions asked. You know they put elephants first when you got baby June out here wilding. So yeah, after hearing about it, reading about it, and even watching a movie about it, I knew exactly where I was going. And after 20 hours, a couple layovers, and a drive up a mountain, my nerves did not appreciate. Nice. First thing they did when we got there was hand me a bucket of watermelon, which I thought was a sick joke until I realized it wasn't for me. Now, if you've been paying attention, you might have a question. Casual, what's the difference between feeding an elephant and washing or riding one? I'm so glad you asked. The whole point is these problem sanctuaries have elephants doing things they wouldn't be doing in the wild. Yeah, elephants spend 20 hours a day eating. You'd have to really commit to overfeed one. It's also good because the mahouts raising them can motivate them with food. No hooks required. And that's what makes EMP so great, because even though it's Thailand, everything runs on EST. Elephant Standard Time. Like, you pay to be around elephants, but they decide what you do and how long you do it. For example, where they dropped us off and where we went to go meet the rest of the herd was about a 20-30 minute walk, in theory. Yeah, it took 2 hours, because EST means if an elephant pulls over and says it's snack time, then it's snack time. No discussion. And if you get caught in the rain because an elephant decides to do skincare, then that's what it is. If you mad, meditate on it. Oh, speaking of the others, it wasn't just June. I also met this young lady, Gampang. And when I say young, I'm talking 51 trips around the sun. And here you got Nungpup. She's 44 with plenty of room for more. Also, you don't just play with pachyderms all day. You actually go through a day in the life of a volunteer here. Like learning how to make an elephant's favorite snack. Rice balls with bananas, tamarinds, and maize. And you can't tell, but I was strongly considering taking one for myself. Oh, the smell. I just know it was bussin'. I also got to meet the resident angsty teenage male. And yeah, everything I have joked about June goes doubly dead serious for Buddy. The males get solitary confinement, and before you feel bad, it's for a very good reason. Anyway, you get to see elephants in their natural and even learn stuff along the way. Elephants are walking instruments. You wouldn't believe the kind of sounds that come out of them. I also never realized how much I needed elephant ASMR. The other thing is, elephants make a lot of noise. Except when they don't want to. When elephants go incognito, they don't make a sound, and since they're technically always tiptoeing, you really might not hear them coming. If you're trying to set a record for weight loss, there'd be times I'd turn away for half a second and 6,000 pounds of mass would just be missing. It was actually kind of freaky. Another thing, elephants can smell numbers. They have the best noses on earth, and experiments show they can actually smell what sealed bucket has the most sunflower seeds without looking. But it also means when they give you a sack of bananas to feed them, they know exactly how much you got on you. You will not be convincing them otherwise. I really tried to pull a fast one. Shorty said, yeah, you not doing that. Run it. Also, wait, where's the rest of you? Oh, yep, there they are. Elephants are way better climbers than I thought. Like, I don't know how they got up there. No, like, literally, I tried to follow them. I couldn't. To me, the most important thing, and I hope y'all get to do this at least once, but when you look an elephant in the eyes, that's just a feeling like you can see how intelligent they are. You can see how aware and, like, what they've been through, and I don't know. There's just something about making eye contact with an animal that's suffered so much and finally knows it's safe. That's a core moment. And the thing is, I just know if more people knew, they'd take this over any other elephant flex you could buy. It's really the elephant nature park. And I'm gonna break your heart one last time, because now the real reason for this video. They actually flooded right after I left. And we're talking the worst one in the wild for a place that's pretty used to it. And while a little water's normally nothing to an elephant, a lot of the ones here are disabled from years of work. We're talking dislocated hips, injuries from stepping on landmines, and some of them are even blind. And unfortunately, 2 of the elephants I met, they're not here anymore. So there's an emergency flood relief fund to help them recover, and they could really use some help, so you already know where that link's going. It'll be in the description. Also, it's not just elephants. ENP has cows, pigs, monkeys, geese, and a very friendly population of dogs. They've done a lot of good in the world, and right now they really need that back, so if you can help, if you're able, that'd be great. But even in the worst possible time, elephants show me why they're my favorite. These 3 elephants are actually guiding a 4th blind one, walking just slow enough and making just enough noise for her to safely follow him. If that doesn't make you want to protect them at all costs, then nothing will. Also interviewed one of the mahouts, and the full conversation will be posted on Patreon. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. Make sure you actually know there's one more thing. Thank you. Ooh, that was corny, but hear me out. And this year I went to the Turtle Center in the Cayman Islands, swam with sharks in Hawaii, and now I got to meet my favorite animal, and I do not do any of that without y'all. I don't think y'all understand. Like, y'all done changed the trajectory of my whole life. My job before this had nothing to do with animals. Now I basically LARP as Nigel Thornberry. Like you, for real. I'll never not be grateful for y'all. Even if this is your first time watching, the fact that you watched this far. Alright, that's enough much. I'm gonna need y'all to drink water, hug your mother and your father. Shit, them babies June. By the way, she's okay. I don't think I said that. Thank you, Lek. Thank you all. And I'm gonna see y'all. Man, y'all already know. In the next one.
Well, that's all I got. I'm sorry. It's like they put.
You know what? Let's watch another one. I feel like that maybe we didn't watch it for any. Oh boy, what's a good one? It's a good, not very much viewer discretion for all the dolphin related videos. Kind of want to watch this. He was safe for you too.
It's like a backyard bully brawl.
Crash out. Here's the definition, and here's the definition, but in picture. And if it's not clear now, it will be by the end of this video. Crash outs exist in all walks of life. You know what they say. Where there's a will, there's a way. For a Chris to get rocked by a Fresh Prince flick of the wrist. But today, we're going to talk about the biggest crash outs in nature, and there's a lot to choose from, so some had to get left off. I won't be talking about hippos, honey badgers, or Cape buffalo. I've said my piece on this roid-raging homicidal hydro horse on steroids. We already know Africa's Black Death is a hunter's nightmare, for humans and lions alike, and I have an entire video on this biracial Black Air Force hate-mongering Hufflepuff. But what I will talk about are rhinos, because I've said that rhinos are legally blind, terminally traumatized anxiety tanks that'll buck up to anything from a butterfly to a buffalo. Except I was wrong. Recent studies show that the eyesight of rhinos might not even be that bad. It's just their attitude, which means that rhino fully punted a warthog purposely and unprovoked, while this one perceived an assault on 8 wheels and still went for a literal headshot. There's a reason why a group of rhinos is an honest-to-God crash, but they're not even the biggest crash outs in Africa. That would be elephants. Like literally, they're the biggest. Whoever made this up actively helped escort people off the census, which they don't need help doing since elephants flatlined over 600 people last year. But it isn't until elephants hit must that they really become crash out kings. Must is when a sudden burst of hormones turns elephants into 12,000-pound drunk lusting frat boys. The word must even comes from the word intoxicated, and a down bad bull's testosterone levels can spike 60 times higher than normal. And that's where the crash out comes in. No animal is safe from an entitled elephant that can't handle rejection. Not even baby elephants. Eating a toddler because his mom won't relieve you? Crash out. But the real degeneracy didn't show itself until humans got involved. Yeah, it's that kind of story. Poaching is evil, we all know it, and it's often the older, more mature bulls that get hit the hardest, for obvious reasons. What wasn't expected was removing elephant OGs from the population meant that the younger, immature teenage bulls in Must got even more out of pocket. And what do you get when you have unruly 6-ton pests with no father figure to keep them in line? Hell if I know. There was a period in the 90s where 3 young bulls that got rejected by their own kind, resorting to violating and killing not 1, not 2, not 10, but 63 rhinos. Fatherless behavior for an elephant apparently means turning a rhino from a tight end to a whiteout, and it wasn't until the season more mature bulls were brought back in that the rhino ravaging eventually stopped. And it's not just males that can choose violence. We can't forget that time an elephant traveled across India just to life-deprive a 70-year-old senior citizen while she was getting water. For context, that elephant escaped from the Dalma Wildlife Sanctuary and traveled over 100 miles to the Rapai village in Odisha. Being homicidal for over 100 miles straight is already menace behavior. What solidified it was that same herd pulling up to that woman's funeral later that day and paying everything but respects. And that same elephant grabbed her soul-evacuated 0 HP body and proceeded to put her in the negatives. Basically, she got put on a shirt, except the shirt was reversible, and after desecrating her corpse, Dessert was destroying the woman's house along with several others. Now, many have said the woman Maya Murmu had it coming and was involved in poaching, and this was a case of an elephant not forgetting or forgiving. It also could have been someone's grandmother getting murked twice and memed on Twitter all because of RNG. We'll never know the why, but what we do know is my favorite animal is capable of crash outs of catastrophic proportions. And now we got the smallest crash out in the world. When a colony of Calabopsis saundersea ants gets attacked, some of the soldiers will rupture 2 huge poison-filled glands and literally blow themselves up. They don't just seppuku themselves, they also rain a toxic corrosive glue that either traps the...
Back off. Back up. Back up and back off. By the way, if you notice me moving my camera around, that was to put it in front of the, if you know, you know, part of the, elephant and rhino. But, the ant is pronounced how, and kamikaze itself. Subuku, yeah.
ants in place or just burns them alive. It's self-sacrificing altruistic behavior meant to defend the colony, but that is one hell of an escalation. One species of termite also has a concept of kamikaze themselves, and they have toxic glands that actually grow as they get older. That means the same old worker termites with dull mandibles that can't fight or forage as well as their juniors also carry the most potent explosive backpacks in the colony. So their last act of service involves eviscerating themselves in a rain of internal organs, intestines, and toxins, which proves that the most dangerous crash out is the one with nothing left to lose. For reference, that's like breaking into a house and the last thing you see is a senile 90-year-old rushing you with a bomb strapped to their chest. But the wildest crash out might be what pea aphids do once a predator breaks into their home, because not only will soldiers come together and turn themselves into fleshy fireworks, they'll use their own bodily fluids to plug up the opening. Even if it means they get left outside in past tense, even if it means they suffocate on their own insides, and even if the process senses subtracts them instantly. It's one thing to self-destruct to backpedal a predator, or even after already being eaten, which aphids actually do. Using Flex Seal made out of your own guts for home repair is exactly the type of behavior this video is about. But if elephants violating the natural order didn't already tell you, the worst crash outs are the ones humans created. And this black Air Force B is the result of one of the biggest oopsies in human history. Back in the 50s, African bees were brought to Brazil and crossbred with their more domesticated European cousins. The idea was, if they could combine the two, they could create a bee that was more efficient than the Europeans in tropical climates, while also being less defensive than the African counterparts. But in one of the most consequential f***ups possible, a local beekeeper accidentally released 26 swarms of Africanized bees, including queens. But experts said not to worry, that the bees would either die out in the foreign climate, or get bred out of existence by the already present European bees.
Yes, but actually no.
By the 60s, they made it across the country. By the 80s, they hit Mexico. By the 90s, they were popping up in the US. And today, the Africanized assault has spread throughout America like a rageaholic rash. And here's the thing with playing God with bees. You better be prepared for hell. These Africanized bees were way meaner than anything this side of the Atlantic had ever seen. They were way more aggressive, much less forgiving, and the same honey merchants that were enough to legitimately punk elephants, that's not a joke by the way, were doing numbers on unsuspecting people. You see, where European bees might send 10 to 20 guards.
Maybe my camera, it says, fun fact, elephants are so afraid of bees. They have a special call to warn the herd of their presence. Farmers also use the sound of bees to keep elephants away from their fields.
Guard bees after you, the Africanized flying mob will pull up in the hundreds. And where European bees might chase you for a couple feet, the African variety will chase trespassers for a quarter of a mile, assuming you even get that far. The irony is, African bees have smaller hives. That means these gangflies weaponize a higher percentage of their hive just to go after you. Add the fact that the very smell of bee venom is like a Batman signal to the rest of the hive, and you realize just how badly that one beekeeper screwed us over. Speaking of venom, you probably know that honeybees die after stinging, since the stingers are barbed and attached to their abdomen, causing attacking bees to literally disembowel themselves. What you might not know is that stinger will continue pumping venom into you long after the bee has become a was. Now that's just doing the most. That's how you get stories of people being chased by vindictive swarms. Oh, and by the way, it's proven if you try to duck the fate by jumping in the water, they will wait, sometimes with fatal consequences. In 2013, a Texas man died after being stung over 1,000 times, and the bee still had enough malice left over to leave his wife and daughter with 100 apiece. It says a lot that the dietary habits of the Crash Out mascot might have helped create one of the most infamous crash crowds in the air. But not all crash outs are fueled by hate. Some are powered by love. Courting bald eagles will interlock talons and plummet down towards the earth, only to separate at the last possible second. Because apparently feathery foreplay means death spiraling in a questionable game of chicken. Apparently, it's to test each other's fitness as a possible partner, separate the strong from the strongest. Except it does the opposite when the entangled avians crash land into trees, water, or sometimes straight pavement and take each other out the dating pool. And bald eagles mate for life, so where do you even go after your vow renewal turns into a wake that only one of you is conscious for? A study showed that eagles will also death spiral with rivals, so it's really a case of either f me or fight me or just don't waste my time. But that makes even less sense, because at least with a mate, the logic is you're trying to find the strongest, most eligible single to spend the rest of your life with. Handing death a 2-for-1 BOGO deal because you had beef and literally couldn't let it go is the definition of crashing out. At least when it happens with deer like moose, you know it's really bad luck. But voluntarily interlocking toes just to die with someone you claim to hate, like what's really going on here? But that relationship's nowhere near as toxic as the house sparrows. It's like Tweety listening to NBA Youngboy. It's a honey badger with wings and an op to every other bird, but especially their own kind. Okay, so the crashing out is caused by the fact that house sparrows are monogamous and mate for life. There are also serial cheating air strumpets, and 15% of sparrow children born aren't even related to the male raising them. Cheating isn't a foreign concept to birds. Thoughts and prayers out to the penguin that got dogged out, got his cloaca kicked by his wife's boyfriend, begged for her back, got beat again, only to get rejected and bust his the third time. Yeah, no way he goes out that sad. Male sparrows that suspect their partner of cheating get their revenge by purposely feeding their children less, bordering on starvation. The thing is, he has no way of knowing which chick's actually his. He only goes by how much time the mother spends away from the nest. Basically, imagine your dad starves you within an inch of your life, all because your mom spent the equivalent of 10 extra minutes at the grocery store. But female sparrows ain't sweet either. The difference is she cheats with better genetic quality, or you could say high value males, while the male cheats to spread his seed as far as physically possible. Except that the female catches on to the cheating, she responds by slaughtering his entire family, children and all. And it's scientifically proven that butchering the babies offers no advantage to the offending female. It's just pure love of the game. Cheating's never right, but when your get back gets children buried, you have lost the plot. Especially since the females most likely to commit baby cancellation are second wives. As in they got with a cheater, got with him due to cheating, only to wipe out the entire first family. Also, I just thought about it. She also has no way of knowing which chicks are his. That means she really just life retires any baby sparrow she comes across. Yeah, that's a crash out of the highest order. And right up there with them has to be this frog. It's a culinary crash dummy off the fact that the Argentine horned frog would rather choke to death trying to swallow something physically bigger than they are than just give it up. Scientists have found expired frogs with their stomachs torn open out of pure stubbornness. It's a gluttonous breathing pot of greed card come to life. Not only that, they're terrible swimmers, embarrassingly bad jumpers, and they don't even ribbit.
They scream.
Fool done sold every aspect of being a frog just to moonlight as Jabba the Gut. They can even develop amphibian corneal lipidosis, where they hold on to so much fat, they literally accumulate fat deposits on their eyes that blind them. To be fair, it's usually from overfeeding in captivity, but my brother in Christ, even Nakado Avocado put the fork down at some point. Especially since frogs can't vomit, the best this kitchen crash out can do is fully eject their stomachs. But luckily, they're not a threat to you. Next is a crash out that the majority of the American audience has to sidestep on a daily basis. Which is funny because the Canada goose nearly got put in an eternal milk carton due to overhunting and habitat loss. In fact, we fully thought they were out of stock in the 50s, until a small flock was found in Rochester, Minnesota. And with the help of the Migratory Bird Treaty Act in the US and the Migratory Birds Convention Act in Canada, along with conservation efforts, the Canada goose was able to make a comeback. And humanity and geese lived happily ever. Absolutely not. Yet a cobra chicken came back with a vengeance. I call the sparrow an airborne honey badger. Nah. It's just barcoded assault with wings. Easily the most undeserved arrogance I've ever seen on an animal. And that's really what it is. This damn Velociraptor has some wildly irrational confidence. They're like Family Guy. They nearly got canceled, came back, and by God do they not miss a chance to punish us for it. Even Sully's heroic landing in the Hudson wouldn't have even been needed if a goose didn't try to run a fade with a plane. Just proof that you can get a lot of mileage out of false unearned valor. Cause it's a bluff. Geese nest on the ground, so they only really can respond to a threat to minor safety by implementing the honey badger method, by raising hell until you meet someone that takes you there. Add the fact that they've managed to lose their fear of humans, and you have a honk-happy threat to national security. I've even read reports of them apparently luring chasing dogs into deep water just to attack and harass them until they eventually drown in exhaustion. To be fair, you could just leash your dog. Oh, also, goose tongue. But yeah, that attitude's a bluff, and they read body language, so act like you've been around a goose before and you'll probably be fine. So why are geese so mean? They'd probably be dead if they weren't, but at least they're not capable of really damaging anything but your pride. Complete opposite of chimpanzees, my word. Probably a top 3 crash out in nature, cause you really never know what could set this chainsaw with thumbs off. Change your hairstyle for the first time in 10 years? Yeah, you just lost your face privileges. Push one of your troop mates a little too far? Call it Kaizen the way you about to get your jutsu jumped. Do a fucking barrel roll? Absolutely not. Not in these parts. Chimps and really primates in general have a sense of fairness. Do something they view as unfair? Oh buddy, you finna find out why they're the prime ministers of unproportional reactions. This man decided to surprise his former pet chimp with a chocolate cake for his birthday. The real surprise was 2 male chimps getting out and mutilating the man for not serving them a slice first. I'm not gonna list the full extent of his injuries, I have a full video doing that. Just know, the first 2 hospitals denied him entry because they literally thought he was a lost cause. Monkeys in captivity have also been known to mob a member of their own for receiving more food than the others. And when I was 8, a chimp temper tantrum nearly had me halfway to Helen Keller. Almost had me rocking the Nick Fury fit. And we cannot forget that time monkeys in India went on a campaign of dropping dogs from roofs after one allegedly attacked a baby of their own. Yeah, primates are some Hall of Fame crash outs. Question is, what could possibly be more destructive? Well, tigers are easily one of the most vengeful creatures alive, and the moment this striped population control wants you dead, you might as well lease a casket. There's plenty of stories of tigers going from 0 to 1,000. In 2007, 3 teenagers that may or may not have been under the influence taunted 243-pound Tatiana the tiger, reportedly even pelting her with pine cones from a slingshot. Tati cleared a 12-foot mow, severely mauled 2 of the teens, and killed the third. In 2016, a tiger ripped apart an infamous poacher named Baby only 4 days after his group reportedly shot his mate. In 97, a hunter named Vladimir Markov not only shot a tiger, but had the audacity to steal his kill. As a result, the Whisker John Wick stalked his cabin, tore anything that smelled like him to shreds, including his mattress and bedding, and apparently even demolished an outhouse Markov had used. As you can guess, the story ended around the same time Vladdy did, once the Siberian assassin was there to greet him at his house. And then there's this. The backstory is that a mother tiger and her cubs had ventured beyond the boundaries of a park and had injured cattle in the process, so rangers went out to capture and relocate the trio. They successfully tranked and removed the cubs, but the mother was nowhere to be found. That was until about right here. The enraged mother cleared a full-grown elephant and managed to mutilate the mahout riding it, taking several fingers with her, and the fury on 4 legs was never seen again. But the most infamous big cat crashout came in the early 1900s, when a tiger dubbed the man-eater at Champawat killed 436 people, giving her the highest human body count of any single animal. And it was discovered that the cause was a cripplingly debilitating tooth injury that forced her to go after easier prey. And that's the thing I do want to mention. I know I had fun with the crash out concept, but really all the tiger was ever guilty of doing was what came naturally. And that really goes for every animal on this list. Tatiana wouldn't have had to die and take someone's son with her if they hadn't gone and tested her killer. Travis was an overweight, socially stunted, Xanax-consuming time bomb that some woman decided to keep inside as a pet. Even the whole Elefino mess started with poachers destroying and fragmenting their families and probably giving the pachyderms PTSD. Like, I'll joke around and stuff for comedic effect, but I'm not actually out here judging animals by human standards. Cause he said something real before he got Chris rocked and left with Fresh Prince.
Talk about the tiger went crazy. That tiger ain't go crazy. That tiger went tiger.
But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Make sure you drink water, hug your mother. There's no church in the wild and no judge in the jungle, so don't expect animals to follow either. And I'ma see y'all in the next one.
I will also see you in the next one.